92% of people fail to hit their goals not because they lack discipline, but because they treat all of their goals in the same way. James Clear, the New York Times bestselling author of Atomic Habits, has an amazing equation which explains why. Results equals hard work times time to the power of strategy. You can work on the wrong thing for 5 years and get nowhere, but if you work on the right thing, then you 10x your results. Hi, I'm AJ. I interview world-class founders of companies like WeWork, Monzo, Pret A Manger, Shazam, and I've completed an Ironman triathlon. And what I've learned is that peak performers treat different goals in fundamentally different ways. I built 3 free, juicy resources for you: an LLM prompt to help you define your big, hairy, audacious goals, a spreadsheet to help you track your goals, and an email system for accountability. The links are in the description. I sat down with world-class neuroscientist, entrepreneur, and author Anne-Laure Le Cunff, who have been researching goals for years. And she said that there are 3 problems with how we think about goals.
The first one is that when you're obsessed with being successful, you might try as much as possible to avoid failure. And we know there's a lot of research that failure is actually one of the best ways to learn and grow. The second one is that if you see goals and success in that very linear way, where you're supposed to reach the next milestone, it makes it very tempting to compare yourself to others. It's almost as if everybody was like climbing their own ladder and you keep on looking right and left and asking yourself, oh, who's climbing faster? So it creates this very unhealthy social comparison. And lastly, it limits your curiosity. If you're already focused in that linear ambition of climbing the ladder as quickly as possible, getting to that destination at all costs and not failing, you might not try new things just for the sake of it. Explore a new skill, a new domain, a new topic that you're interested in, because they might feel like distractions.
However, we're goal-oriented creatures, and so if traditional goals are broken, then what is the solution? The goal pyramid. If I had an hour to solve a problem, I'd spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solutions. There are 4 different levels of goals, and elite performers know when and where to use each of them and that they're linked. But most people fail because they only use finite goals. Finite goals are very linear or binary. You either achieve the goal or you don't achieve the goal. And a perfect example of people that live their life by finite goals are Olympians. Every 4 years and you want to achieve gold. But this has massive tolls on our well-being and mindset. That's why the most decorated Olympian ever, Michael Phelps, made a documentary called The Weight of Gold, which talks about post-Olympic depression, even after you win. But finite goals aren't bad. We just often use them in the wrong context, and that's where you need a strategy to know when to use the right goals, which we'll get into later. So then what are infinite goals? Infinite goals are continuous. They are never ending. The aim of the game is to continue playing the game. You're not trying to achieve the goal, you're just trying to live by it. It's more of a way of being. And then because it's a way of being, it means you can win every day. When I trained for my Ironman, the main goal wasn't finishing the race. The main goal was to build endurance and discipline. And I had already done that by the time I'd got to the race. I felt like I had achieved the main goal. And if the race hadn't gone to plan or something had gone wrong, or if I'd twisted an ankle, then I wouldn't have been as devastated because I still knew that I'd built endurance and discipline. And then I smashed the race because I focused on who I was becoming, not what I was trying to achieve. Infinite goals are linked to values and who we're trying to become, and we'll go into the system of how to set those in the next section. We're halfway through the pyramid, and the next part is what 99% of people miss, which is about experimentation and curiosity, which is what Anne-Laure's book, Tiny Experiments, is all about.
In parts of your life or work where there is a lot of uncertainty, you actually don't really know what success looks like. You've never done it before. Your team hasn't done it before. Those linear goals only give you the illusion of control and the illusion of certainty. And that instead of trying to say, here's the goal, here's the destination, you should experiment instead. And you should say, okay, we've never done this before. What can we try? And then whatever the outcome, we will learn from this outcome. And we will use that new knowledge, which we didn't have when we got started. And I think that's better because that's real growth to me. Being able to look back and feel like, wow, I had no idea. And there was no way I could have imagined that this would be where we would end up, because I actually didn't even know it was possible to get there in the first place.
OKRs and KPIs. We're not going to go into loads of detail on OKRs and KPIs because there's loads of content online about them. But at a high level, OKRs stand for objectives and key results. The objective is the big goal and the key results are the milestones which lead towards that big goal. And KPIs are just what we track consistently to see whether we're on target to hitting our goal. Now you know the 4 layers of the pyramid. The thing that most people then miss is not building a system around effectively setting the right goal for each layer. And so that's what we're going to go into next. Quick reminder, all of these systems are in the free resource pack below. There's no point in trying to screenshot everything. Just download that, it's way easier. Framework 3, a system for each type of goal. First, as infinite goal systems. So the first exercise is a values mapping exercise. We want to take a massive list of values and then we want to pick 10 of them. Then the hard part is refining those 10 down to 5 and then ordering those 5 from 1 to 5. The third step is rating yourself out of 5 with each of those values, which is generally like how closely aligned are you living to each one of those values. So for example, when I did this exercise with my coach, I found that my number 1 value was connectedness. However, when I rated myself out of 5 on that value, I was only a 3 out of 5. And so that was an amazing signal as to what I had to work on and what would lead me towards living most closely in alignment with my core values. The next exercise, which we also want to do every 3 months, is called Be, Do, Have, which also links to identity, action, and then outcome. Who do I have to become and what do I have to do to have what I want? We're often too focused on the outcome and not focused enough on the behavior change that's needed to achieve that outcome. So instead, we should ask ourselves, what are the characteristics and habits of the type of person who has what I want? What is the valuable set of skills that I have to build to get what I want? Am I able to do what's needed to get what I want? Do I know what all the key activities are and how often they need to be done? And also, am I actually willing to do those things? The last system is a daily system, which takes us from feeling-based action to identity-based action. When you rely on how you feel to take action, then you're always going to be inconsistent. However, if you base your actions on who you are and who you're becoming, then everything changes. Be and identity is more powerful than do and action. A great way to build this habit is by consistently asking yourself, what would the blank version of me do now in this situation? And if you don't know exactly what these behaviors are, then the easiest way is to find other people who you look up to, who you're trying to become more like, and then study them. And then even better, once you've studied them, then you can reach out and ask them how they do it or what they thought were the most important behaviors they did. Now, this might sound scary, but the downside is they ignore your DM or your email, and the upside is you make a life-changing relationship. It's pretty obvious what you should do. All of this is going to be uncomfortable. This is growth. This is you evolving your identity. But the things that we're often most proud of are the things which are painful. And so I have a rule which is leaning into short-run pain, which gives me long-run gain. Next, we have our tiny experiments, or also known as circular goals system. When we're faced with uncertainty, the best goal to set is an experiment, or a tiny experiment, like Anne-Laure's book. And we do this by first reflecting on the cognitive scripts that have run our lives. Anytime we hear ourselves saying, I should, ... that is probably a cognitive script that we have been conditioned by and actually might not be true to us. Next is to collect data on your life to see what drains you, what gives you energy, who are the people you love hanging around with, what are the tasks and actions you love doing. Third, we want to form hypotheses of things that we could experiment with, like meditation makes me regulate my emotions better, or networking with this sort of group of people might open doors. And lastly, we want to design a tiny experiment around that hypothesis, which is what Anne-Laure calls using a pact, which is a one-line sentence which says, I will do this action for a duration of time. Pacts are not habits, New Year's resolutions, performance metrics, or big projects. They are purposeful, actionable, continuous, and trackable. Like, I will meditate every morning for 10 minutes for 10 days. Or I will cold DM 3 people a day for 14 days. We include a more detailed description in the resource pack, and otherwise you should definitely go and buy Anne-Laure's book. It's awesome. She's awesome. Just go and do it. It's worth it. Next is finite or linear goals system. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Warren Buffett gave his pilots some life-changing advice with the 5-25 rule. This exercise is where you write down your 25 most ambitious goals, dreams, anything that you feel your heart is pulled to. And then you do the same thing as in the values exercise and you narrow them down to 5. And then this is where it gets really hard, is you focus relentlessly on those 5 and you completely push aside the remaining 20. Then if you want to take it a step even further, for each of those 5 things, you want to write down 3 immediate tasks you can do today, this week, this month, and you want to put them in your calendar and then ideally tell someone about them, hold you accountable, and that's it. Details are in the resource pack. The next system for linear goals is to set quarterly goals, not annual goals. There are 2 problems with annual goals. One is that it's too far out. There's no urgency, so you can just kick the can down the road. And 2 is that because it's further out, it means that we can be less clear on what the goals are. Quarterly goals are perfect because they provide both urgency and then you can make meaningful progress on the goals. Annual sort of direction or goals is almost like your compass, and the quarterly goals are your map. Third is to write down all of your goals and in a specific way. Here's a stat that will knock your socks off. There's a book called What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School, and they did a huge study and they found that 3% of all Harvard Business School graduates earned 10 times more than the 97% combined. The only difference is they had clear written goals with plans. That is it. So all you need to do is write down your goals and the steps that you need to take in order to achieve them. However, how you write down your goals is also crucial. So we want to make them SMART goals. I won't go into detail as to what SMART goals are here. I'm sure you've heard of it before. So just go Google SMART goals. Next, make them action-based, not outcome-based. So we want to define what our output, i.e. what actions we're going to take, as opposed to trying to define the end result that we're trying to achieve. You can ask yourself, what specific actions move me towards this goal? Then success becomes taking actions as opposed to getting the results. Clarity creates confidence, confidence creates consistency, and consistency creates results. Most games that we play in life are just the result of staying in the game, continually playing and improving a little bit each time. What gets measured gets managed. You become what you measure, and so you want to measure consistently. And ideally, this is like a visual tracker, a checklist, or something that you can see right next to you. This is also what our email accountability system is about. It sends you an email each week asking you how it's going with your goals, and then it shows you what your progress is. Very simple. Speaking of the email accountability system, this is also the last point, which is to reflect and adjust. So it doesn't just work just to write down our goals. We want to look at them every day and then assess how well we're approaching them and whether anything needs to change. We want to ideally do this daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. From a daily perspective, we want to ask, what were the weekly priorities and how are they going? For our weekly reflection, we want to ask, what were our monthly priorities and how are they going? Also in our weekly reflection, we want to ask, how do we need to adjust our inputs or outputs to move us closer to our goals? And then on a monthly basis, we ask, what were our quarterly priorities and how are they going? A goal without a strategy and a system is just a wish. We want to fall in love with the process of setting incredible goals, not the outcome. Because if we love the process and we obsess over the process, the outcomes will come. And they will often probably be even wilder than we expected. The complete system is in the description. And if you found this valuable, then why not share that value with someone else who has ambitious goals and dreams so that they can make the most progress they've ever made towards them. And if you want to hear more from Anne-Laure Le Cunff, the incredible neuroscientist and author of this book, Tiny Experiments, then our interview is there. Amazing. Thanks so much. Bye.